This is Pak Mei, White Eyebrow Kung Fu. Pak Mei is a short bridge Southern Chinese martial art. It emphasizes direct power, close range striking, and structural integrity under pressure. The system favors simplicity, no wasted motion, no decorative movement. Everything exists to damage, control, or end the exchange quickly. Pak Mei power comes from alignment, not size. The stance, the spine, the breath, and the intent all stack together. When that structure is correct, force travels forward with very little effort. You see that principle even more clearly when signify. Weapons magnify mistakes. They also magnify good structure. This form is Pak Mei Daan Dao, the single saber form of the Pak Mei system. Depending on how you count it, this system has close to 70 distinct movements. Some are obvious cuts. Some are transitional. Some are short power expressions hidden inside steps and turns. What matters is not the count. What matters is how the weapon moves through space. The Chinese broadsword, or Dao, is one of the 4 fundamental weapons of Chinese martial arts. The others are the straight sword, the spear, and the staff. The Dao is different from all of them. It is forward heavy. The balance point sits closer to the blade than the handle. That design is not accidental. A forward-weighted weapon carries momentum. Once it starts moving, it wants to keep moving. That gives the cuts authority. This is a chopping weapon. It is designed to cleave, hack, and overwhelm. In combat, that weight allows you to damage through armor, bone, and resistance. You do not need perfect edge alignment to cause injury. The mass does the work. Because of that, Dao training demands control. You cannot muscle this weapon. If you overextend, the blade will pull you off balance. If your stance collapses, the weapon exposes you. This is where Pak Mei's structure matters. Notice how the steps are short. The stance stays rooted. The spine remains upright. The weapon does not flail. It tracks with the body. Cuts come from the waist and legs, not the arms. The hands guide, the body drives. Pak Mei does not chase flashy spins or large circular flourishes. Even when the blade arcs wide, the intent stays forward. Many of these movements represent entering tactics. You are not fencing at long range. You are crashing the line. The forward weight of the Dao supports that strategy. Once you step in, the blade continues through the target. You do not tap, you finish. You will also notice frequent changes in angle. High to low, inside to outside, vertical to diagonal. That constant variation prevents interception. If an opponent blocks one line, the next cut arrives from another. The blade becomes a pressure tool. Every motion threatens space. In Pak Mei Daan Dao, there is also an emphasis on recovery. After each cut, the weapon returns to a guarded position. This is critical. A heavy blade that does not recover leaves you open. Pak Mei solves this by keeping the elbows connected and the shoulders relaxed. The weapon never drifts far from the center. Even the pauses in the form matter. They train balance under load. They teach you how to stop momentum without tension. That skill transfers directly back into empty hand practice. The Dao also conditions the grip. You cannot death grip this weapon. If you do, your forearms burn out quickly. The hand stays firm but alive, enough to control the blade, loose enough to redirect it. This is why traditional systems treat weapons as advanced training. They reveal flaws. If your stance is weak, the weapon tells you. If your timing is off, the blade exaggerates it. If your breath is shallow, fatigue shows up fast. Pak Mei Daan Dao is not just a catalog of cuts. It is a lesson in pressure management, how to advance without rushing, how to strike without losing balance, how to apply force and immediately regain control. When you watch this form, Do not look for speed. Look for stability. The goal is not to move fast. The goal is to move correctly. Speed appears naturally when structure holds. This form preserves old combat logic. Close range, decisive action, no excess. Every step, every turn, and every cut serves a purpose. This is Pak Mei, and this is how the system expresses itself through the broadsword. Pak Mei Daan Dao reminds you that weapons do not create skill. They expose it. Train the structure, and the blade obeys. This form rewards patience and repetition. Each pass refines balance, timing, and intent. The blade teaches honesty. It shows you where you rush and where you hesitate. Stay with the work until movement feels inevitable. Train today so strength shows up when it matters. You execute what you have practiced. That is the purpose of forms training. Not performance, not tradition. Reliability under stress. Train with intent. Carry that intent into everything you do. This consistency builds confidence, and confidence comes from knowing your structure holds. When pressure rises, you do not improvise.